Hey sailors, welcome back from break. Hope you had a good snack. It's Mrs. P here, and right now we're going to be talking about books and your reading life. And I'm here in my classroom library. I have an extensive library behind me, and it goes all the way down that wall from sports books to autobiographies to romance to graphic novels and comics. On my other big shelf over there, I have tons of neat features of new books that I've gotten in from grants, from donations, from a lot of my own expensive, just making sure that this room is filled with books that you love, that engage and that hook you. I think the best and most rewarding part of my job is getting to know you, having relationships with kids, and figuring out what you like, what your passions are, and pairing you with the right book. And that's what I've been doing all year, the last couple years with kids, just giving them different books that I've read that I can recommend that I know they love. And I know some of you, hopefully none of you were so bold to say it out loud, but you could be sitting there thinking, I hate books. I don't read. Reading's lame. And while I don't accept what you're thinking or saying, I understand it. Because traditionally we've had so many strings attached to reading that you've been ripped off. And so today we're going to talk about what are your rights as a reader, because you have some rights. What is it going to look like this year? And then just to promote a lot of books and enjoy them. So, first of all, you have the right to select books that you love. You don't have to defend your taste to anybody. If you're into vampire romance like Miss McCaskey, that's your jam, right? Find books that you like. I'm not here to say, oh, that's above your reading level. You shouldn't do that, or you should try something harder, or it has to be, 200 pages. I don't care. I want you to be paired up with books that you really enjoy. We read because we're readers. The second big thing I want you to know this year is that you are free from the busy work related to reading. I think in schools for so long we've just made kids keep a reading log or do this report on what you've just read, and that just kills your love of it. We read because we're readers. And a little shout out to 8th grader Mikey Thompson, who he came into my classroom last year saying, I don't read, I don't like books, and he ended the year reading like 19 books outside of just the literature we were reading in class, outside of the short stories, poems that we were studying. He read 19 on his own. And so that's kind of like the magic, finding out what kind of books you like, with what they cover, the passions, where the author's coming from, and that's cool. So you're not going to have to do any book reports. You're not going to have to stand up in the class and do a little report on it. We read because we're readers. Third, you have the right to abandon a book you don't love. Who's given up on a book before? I certainly have, and I teach my own daughters at home to do that. If this book failed to hook you, if you're not into it, if you don't connect with the characters or what's going on in it, or if you're lost in the first chapter, abandon it. Kids come up to me all the time during our first 10, 15 minutes of reading. I don't like this book, Mrs. B. All right, good. That's smart. You're advocating for yourself as a reader. Your time, your energy, your mind is too precious to waste with something that you don't like, you don't connect with. So trash that bad girl and find something that you like. And that's what I love doing. It's going to be a little bit more challenging for your language arts teachers to do that this year because you're not in our classrooms having access to our classroom libraries. But we're going to use Destiny Quests, so you have access to everything we have in the Media Center, doing digital checkouts. And then you're going to have access to our library here. You can email us, and we're going to get these books to your crew teachers, so you always have something. So that's where our books are going to come from. You may also bring in your own. I think that's really powerful. So a lot of you use local libraries, or you have access to your own books like on a Kindle or something like that. You also have the right to try new genres, authors, and challenge yourself. I think that's really powerful. I had a kid, Cole Davis, and he always read graphic novels. He just loved comics. And my dirty little secret was I hadn't really read one. And comics, graphic novels are every bit literature as anything else. They have amazing visual literacy, and they tell the story with pictures and the plot in a really cool way. In fact, Jerry Craft's New Kid, which is a new release, this just won the Big Newbery Award, and it's the first time a graphic novel has ever won. So that is awesome. So try out different things. I usually read historical fiction, and that's kind of my jam. And it's boring, Miss P, but I don't have to defend my taste to anybody. That's what I like. I like books that took place in different time periods. I think that's fascinating and adds to my knowledge. But I know a lot of my students read fantasy, and so I've tried out different fantasy books with time travel and alternate realities, and have loved them. Same thing with Cole Davis recommended Nimona. It's about this shape-shifting girl who pairs up with a supervillain to fight some even worse bad guys. So I love this piece. I laughed out loud, and the vocabulary was challenging. It was amazing in this piece. So you have the right to a menu of new authors and new books. And so in our class on Feature Fridays, Miss McCaskey, Mr. Cheney, and I will feature some really cool new reads. We'll have like a little video to showcase what's new, what you might want to be interested in. Example, in October, we'll feature a lot of horror and some dark pieces, so that's cool. You don't have to defend your tastes. I touched on that a little bit, right? Historical fiction's your thing, romance. Read what you love. You might also want to branch out and try something else. If it doesn't work for you, abandon it, right? So often teachers are just kind of dictating what kids have to do with their reading life, and that's wrong. We read for pleasure, and we don't have to feel guilty about it. We don't have to feel wrong about it. We don't have to feel ashamed about it. You just read. You have the right to read in a comfortable location. In my room, we come in, the first 15 minutes are for reading, and some kids read on the floor, some kids kind of sprawl out on their table, whatever you feel comfortable with, and that's all right. You do have the right to a quiet environment, right? This is a sacred time. This is a great kind of centering time to immerse yourself in your story. Forget about all the drama, everything else that's going on in your life, other stressors, people, and you just get lost in your book. It's really a gift that you give yourself, and I always read with my students too. You have the right to a robust assortment of titles and new features, and so we work really hard to update our libraries through grants and other purchases, and then to feature them. A lot of times I do book trailers because they're out there on YouTube, but then I started having kids just hold up their book and talk about what they like. Hey, I just read Legacy and the Queen. Amazing tennis fantasy book, actually written by Kobe Bryant. Awesome piece. And so kids will tell each other what they like. And I do a lot of book chats too. I always share what's going on in my piece. I had this book that I was reading. This kid, he had this anger issues, and he would light things on fire. And, so just giving little kids little tidbits about that, then they'll get interested and they'll want to borrow the book. So you have to see that your staff members in this building as readers, and they are, right? Mrs. Schiller, she reads a ton she likes fantasy and those kind of series. Mrs. Jablonski, she reads widely. She reads a lot of science and books about plants, gardening, all kinds of things, STEM, those kinds of books. And you have the right to reread a book. If you absolutely fell in love with Where the Red Fern Grows and it was a teacher read aloud in elementary, by all means, spend a week or 2 weeks reading that book and becoming reacquainted with it. I'm not here to tell you what you have to read and how you have to do it. I just want you to love books, and I want you to read. So why do we read? Why are we going to give away some of our class time to just reading? And why spend all this money on books? Why spend all this time promoting it, right? Beyond just the normal stuff we're reading for English class. Well, first of all, and these are just my reasons, but reading gives you wisdom. What's beyond the world, the life that you know? When I read I Am Malala, I was always hearing about Malala Yousafzai in the news, and I had no idea her story and what she went through. But growing up in Pakistan, and it was controlled by the Taliban, and women did not have access to education, and they really had very few rights. But her dad kept this girls' school going. And she was on a bus, and the Taliban approached, and they asked, who is Malala? They knew that she was blogging a lot about women's rights and education, and they shot her in the head. And she survived that. And now she has the biggest voice about equality and rights in the world, and then a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I wouldn't have known that had I not read. Books that also, they allow you to find yourself, and that's point number 2. They affirm who you are and your identity. Maybe you look around, you don't find that you have a lot of friends who understand your passions, your interests, your experiences. That's where books help kind of ground us and find connection. I think that's cool. I just want to feature Gordon Corman's The Unteachables. This isn't really a huge connection to my life, but it is to teaching. This guy, he gets the worst kids in the school, and he walks in, they literally have like a little bonfire going in the trash can, and they've got little marshmallows skewered on pencils, and he's got to find a way to transform his life, fall in love with teaching again, and make it work. And I guess it is kind of our everyday task here at Mona Shores. Loved this book. Great books have you understand other people's experience. You get to walk around in their shoes. Reading makes you more empathetic. Right now in our world, we have a lot of issues with racial inequality, And I think empathy and understanding is where we need to put a lot of focus and energy. The hate you give is a powerful piece. What is it like to be looked at and judged by the color of your skin? And so it's a vital look at racism, and a really neat perspective of what it's like to be a Black teenage girl. And I just love the voice that she had in this piece. Inside Out and Back Again. This girl has to escape for her life out of war-torn Vietnam, and she comes to the United States, and she doesn't know the language, and the food is weird, and clothes are weird, and school is absolutely daunting for her. But what it's like, and it's also told in poetry, which I really love. We read because it's an escape. It de-stresses from all the other things in our lives, and we focus on the page, and we become immersed in somebody else's story. Reading can give you creativity and great ideas, and it can simply just be joyful. You just laugh out loud, or it's thrilling, or it's exciting because you're into this murder mystery. It's entertaining. When we read, there's no strings attached. You are doing high-level brain work. You're making pictures in your mind as you're going through the story. You're trying to figure out what words mean based on other words around them with these context clues. You're predicting what's happening next. You're making connections between what the characters are experiencing, what's going on in your life. And probably my favorite is we have a lot of these conversations in class, and I would offer kids the option, they didn't have to, but to do a goodbye to a book. It was just a really tiny slip, and it was just, so what? Why did this book matter? What does it say about life, about being a human? What did you learn from it? What do you think was the message? And that was just an option. Kids didn't have to do that, but a lot of them, they wanted to. They wanted to reflect and do a quick little process. But reading gives you that. It gives you so many things. But you don't have to take my word for it. We can take a look at some superstars and why they read it and why they enjoy it. So, a little clip for you.
Reading has helped me kind of get away from the game a little bit.
LeBron James has been taking an unusual approach to improving his playoff numbers.
James turnaround jumper drills it. He is knocking down everything. This is an incredible performance.
At shoot-arounds, he's often got a book. At his locker pregame, while he's icing postgame, on the training table, always with a book.
It's the first time I've really done it. I haven't read this much, I guess, probably since I was in high school. So much of our life is consumed with basketball. Sometimes it's, good just to get your mind away from it, do something else, and then when it's time to get back on the court, you come back and get ready to play.
He's taking on little Tolstoy right now.
War and Peace? Not yet, but James' reading list has been varied. Jay-Z and Jerry West's autobiographies, The Tipping Point, The Pact, and the entire Hunger Games trilogy. But raising even more eyebrows has been when James reads, often within an hour of tip-off as a way to alleviate pressure and clear his head.
You spend so much time in preparation for the game, sometimes you just need to kind of just a little bit, just get away from it for a little bit, so you don't get overblocked.
He needs his time. He needs a space to go somewhere else, to put himself into a different mind state before he come out here and run out on this court where he's the most watched athlete in sports.
I don't care if you, put together a Lego building of the Capitol Dome to get ready for a game. As long as you go out and score 40 like that guy can, by all means do it.
James fires a three. Bang!
James says the books have also been invaluable in keeping him away from television and the internet during the playoffs, so he's not hearing as many other people's opinions on his play. It's a tactic that's caught on throughout the Heat locker room. The Hunger Games books have been passed around, as has a biography of Malcolm X. Is a Heat book club next?
Would you have to guess who would be the leader of the book club? It'd probably be Shane.
Well, maybe after the season we can get together and discuss. Serve some tea and some crumpets.
It was relaxing, honestly. I'm able to zero in once I'm done and get ready for the games.
All right. I told you have the right to a robust assortment of titles, and I will be doing Feature Fridays in class, and one of our Feature Fridays will focus on Kobe. And he wanted to be known not as a basketball star. He actually produced an award-winning short film called Dear Basketball, and we'll watch it on our Feature Friday with Kobe's books. But he wanted to be known as a storyteller, and he was a great one, an award-winning one. And he wrote sports fantasies, and what they were is not only just entertaining, awesome, because I read Legacy and the Queen, it's a tennis one, but also to just teach kids lessons about what you need to be really well prepared for the game, to operate and to perform at your highest ability, how you perform as an athlete, as a person, with your teammates. There's just like a lot of lessons in these books. And he has the Wizard series. These are a basketball series, which are awesome. So that's really cool. We also know that Steph Curry, he's starting a book club, and he's a reader. His book club is called Underrated, and it's a mix of titles that are focusing on authors and storytellers that come from rough times, and but they're very talented, and they have powerful stories to tell. They range from like faith, family, sport, social justice, all of those different issues. So it's stories about people who have defied the odds to become more than what everybody else just thought they could be. So that's really cool. With reading this year, the world is a noisy place, and we're always, this year more than ever, we're plugged into screens. And so this is going to be a sacred time to really to just unplug and immerse yourself in books. So this year, one of our goals is to engage in authentic reading. Well, what is authentic reading? What does that really look like? Because there's fake reading, the stuff like, oh, my teacher wants me to read this book, so I'm looking at it, but you're not really reading it. Real reading is you're focused on it. You're reading every word. You're thinking about it. You're trying to paint pictures in your mind. You're wondering what's going to happen next. You're predicting. Your body is literally in one spot, engaged in your purpose, which is to read. And sometimes you go back, like, whoa, what's happening here? And you turn back a page, you reread it, you check for understanding, you're just engaged in what you're doing. Fake reading, it's not in front of you, you're whispering to your friends. Okay, you got wandering eyes, you're looking at the clock, you're drifting thoughts, you're moving around, you're just trying to jam through it and rip through it really fast, or you're sleeping, right? We want you to have this time to be important, sacred, and just a really great moment to unplug from all the noise in life. So we'll engage in authentic reading and language arts the first 10-15 minutes, but our schedule this school year, it allows for a little bit more freedom and some breaks and things like that. And maybe in crew, maybe you'll get a chance to read outside a little bit with your independent reading book. Maybe you'll take a break. If one lesson ends early, you get 10 minutes to read. So bring your book every day. Keep it with you. You'll check out your classroom library book with me. You'll email me. I will check it out to you, and I'll get it to your crew teacher so you have it. And you'll also check out with Mrs. Mann through Digital Destiny Quest, which we have a video on how to do that today. Use a bookmark. A sticky note works really well, so you're not dog-earing the page. It keeps our books nice. The only thing, there's no busy work with reading. We love that you just track what you read this year. And we might just do a Jamboard. And it's as simple as just having like a collage of the book covers of everything you read. That's it. You might want to, not necessary, but keep a someday list of books you want to read. You see what other people are reading. I always do. I keep one on my phone of like, oh, my friend's reading this, my mom's reading that. I want to read that book next, right? Bring your books home. Read at night. Read to calm down. Read to de-stress. Read before games, before practice, before anything in your life where you just need to detach and escape. Reading is thinking, right? You're making a lot of connections. You're engaged with the text, and it's an important thing. In class, you'll have an opportunity, if you want, to reflect on your reading with peer book chats. We've been talking a lot about fireball word choices, proper nouns, add pizzazz, action verbs, word choice that really dazzle and help make your writing vivid. So you might look one day, we might say, okay, in your independent reading book, open a page up. What are some powerful word choices your author is using? And just to notice, to reflect, to appreciate how great authors do their work, and how that might fuel our work as writers in our classroom this year. I'm just going to leave you with, we're going to look at an infographic and a final clip, and then Mrs. McCaskey is going to teach you how to use Destiny Discover this year. Sorry, I called it Destiny Quest earlier. Destiny Discover, we have a link to that on our Google Classroom. And then your teacher can just show you some book trailers that promote and excite you about new books that are coming up. And so, we have been given a certain amount of time every day, in our lives to become the best person that we can be. I think reading is a really big part of that. Students who read widely and frequently, they are higher achievers than students who read rarely and narrowly. And it really doesn't matter where you come from, like how much money your parents make, if your parents read to you or not. A huge predictor of success and what can overcome anything is how much you read in your life. Reading helps you develop a lot of grit and stamina, and that will translate into other areas of your life. So I just want to share with you a little infographic that I think is really powerful, and it talks about the importance of books and the importance of reading. Why read? 10 reasons. Loading. All right, first of all, reading is rewarding. 20 minutes of reading per day, per year will help you build a very mature vocabulary. And that'll translate into how you talk to other people on social media, how you write emails, how you present yourself in an interview. Students who read for fun, they just score higher on standardized writing tests. It's just a fact. It's just going to make you a better thinker, performer in other aspects of your life. You will be a better writer. You will have more sentence fluency. You will have better description. You will have a higher level vocabulary. Stephen King, author of It and a lot of crazy horror things like The Shining, Carrie, he says if you don't have time to read, then you don't have the time or the tools to write. It's that simple. And we all have to be writers. It's just a necessary thing in our life. Reading, it can be hard, but hard is necessary. This shows that one of the characteristics that emerges as a significant predictor of success is grit. Not giving up, not whining, not blaming other people for your failures. Grit is passion. Grit is perseverance, and it's sticking to something to achieve that long-term goal. And getting from the front cover to the back, that's grit. Getting through a book, having stamina, staying with your book, sticking with your future day in, day out, and reading helps that happen. Reading prepares you for the real world of work. The 25 fastest growing professions, they have a far greater average demand for literacy skills. Software programmers, and that includes like video game designers. If you're going into medicine, if you're going to be a doctor, a physician's assistant, if you're going into veterinary technology, an engineer, a health aide, physical therapist, dental hygienist, network analyst. Also in the military, the required reading they have to do is at a very high level. And also if you're just going to go into trade school, if you're going to work with automotive things or going into plumbing or heating and cooling, the trade manuals you have to read have a lot of technical vocabulary. So we have to learn how to read well. Almost 50% of people with the lowest literacy skills, they live in poverty, meaning they can't provide for themselves very well financially. Reading well is financially rewarding. 25 to 40% of children will have their educational careers cut short because they simply cannot read well enough, and that's a sad thing. So it's going to open up your life if you can read well. It can also arm you against depression. Example, 60% of prison inmates, they're functionally illiterate. Muskegon is addressing and tackling that with Read Muskegon. They have programs where we're teaching inmates how to read better and reading with their own children, reading with their families. So they bring in dinner and kids get to meet with their family members who are incarcerated and have literacy skills because it's really a ticket to a better life. 85% of juvenile offenders, they are unable to read well enough to participate in their own legal case, where your freedom, your life is on the line. Another cool thing is reading helps you develop a moral compass. All right, so you can see a character, right? They're getting all this pressure. They're in a store and their friends are shoplifting. Are they going to do it, right? And you, as a reader, you're like tuning into that. Am I going to do that? What choice would I make, right? So it allows you to really kind of define your ethics. What is right? What is wrong? What are my beliefs? Which is a cool thing. Reading just simply makes you smarter. And so I leave you with a final clip, and I hope today that you look at some book trailers. I hope you browse Destiny. I hope you email me or Miss McCaskey or Mr. Cheney about a book that you would love to check out from our library, or check one out with Mrs. Mann, and that you find some amazing books and pieces this year. I've already connected with several of you through email just about your interests and what books I think that you would love that I have. All right. Our final thing is this.
Warren Buffett once said, "The more you learn, the more you earn." That is so true.
Look at successful people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Oprah, Mark Cuban, and any other highly successful human. They are successful because they use their time right. They are successful because they are lifetime learners. They commit to learning new things every single day. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest humans on the planet, is famous for reading more than 5 hours every day. Bill Gates reads 1 book per week. Mark Cuban, 3 hours a day. Oprah, well, she's just obsessed with books. Notice a common theme here? Successful people never stop learning.
Think about this. You have $86,400 to spend every single day. But when the day is over, the money disappears. You can't get it back. When you try to spend all of the money before they disappear, when you try to use it wisely, use it as best you could. The sad part is, we only have 86,400 seconds a day, and most people take this time for granted. Most people let this time disappear without a second thought. We never get this time back. We must use it wisely. We must be productive. We must use our time to do things we enjoy, or use it to set up our life so we can spend our future doing more things we want to do. Instead of wasting your time on meaningless things, use it to learn new things.
The time you spend playing video games or partying with your friends will never come back. Once you use that time, it's gone forever. Use your time wisely. Read books. Study hard and learn as much as you can. Most people give up on their dreams because it gets too hard. A lot of students stop chasing their dreams because of one failed test. Matter of fact, most students don't even try their best when they take the test because in their mind, they have already failed the test. They stop believing in themselves, and once the belief is killed, the dream is killed. If you have a dream, you must do everything to make it into reality. It doesn't matter how many times you fail a test. Never stop believing in yourself. Life itself is a test. Sometimes you will fail, but the only way you can be a failure is if you stop trying. Whatever dream you have, use all your energy to make it into reality.
Push yourself to become the person you are destined to become. If you want to get results you have never got before, you are going to have to do things you have never done before.
The richest man in the world, Bill Gates, was once asked which superpower he would like to have. The richest man in the world said that he would want the ability to read books faster. Success is not about the money, the fame, or the big house. It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
You will fall down many times on the road to success. But the most important thing is that you get back up. Get back up stronger and wiser than before. Create a mindset that does not allow you to quit or stop believing. If you quit on your dream and give up, you'll never know how great you can be. Never doubt yourself. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will.
All right. And so, we're going to send you over to Mrs. McCaskey to select that first book and begin your reading life with us this year. Good luck and thank you.